All right. Speaking of number 2, TreVeyon Henderson.
Yeah.
What's your ceiling for him? Because I know a lot of people love this pick, and I love the player.
The ceiling is, and this is a comp that kind of gets thrown around, and I don't think he's quite as good, but like a Jahmyr Gibbs type of player, a Jahmyr Gibbs, in the Jahmyr Gibbs role, where you are an explosive complementary piece to the offense, good in the passing game. A player that, and this is something I saw on his tape, a player that can access rush lanes that most running backs can't, just because the acceleration and burst and speed to run to daylight. Also, the vision to let your block set up. He has a really good feel for varying his tempo as a runner. Like some runners are just one speed, they're just going, and half the time they end up in front of their blockers, which is one of the most annoying things for me, because I'm like, dude, the coaches worked all week on this. You practiced this play 12 times, and now you're running in front of your blockers. Like it just drives me nuts. So watching TreVeyon Henderson, he's really good at kind of like waiting, drafting off of his offensive linemen, letting those blocks set up, letting them do the dirty work, and then running to daylight when he has the opportunity to do that. Great in pass pro, great in the passing game overall. Everything you heard about him, another guy that I'm sure Vrabel is just going to love, because he is all about ball, all about competition. Just everything you hear from the Ohio State camp is that he's like the greatest guy ever. So everybody loves him. So, but in terms of stylistic play, I just kind of picture the upside, the ceiling comp being a Jahmyr Gibbs type of player, where you get that explosive element and you get the big play ability in space in the passing game, and just sort of the way he varies his running tempo.
So I have a comp. This goes back 20 years, and the pace is on point. He's not as shifty, but the skills in the passing game as a blitz pickup guy and as a pass catcher.
Mm-hmm.
Shades of Brian Westbrook.
Mm-hmm.
You see it, and that's like the ceiling is Brian Westbrook only made 2 Pro Bowls.
Yeah,
he made 1 All-Pro team, but when he was on the field, it was like, hey, we got to be sound in our leverage, right? Like we have to wrap up. If we don't, he's gone to the house. Do you see that at all?
Yeah, absolutely. I think stylistically, there's a lot of similarities there, and he was kind of like always just a natural football player. That's kind of how I see Henderson too. I think I honestly like would have to go rewatch like tapes of Brian Westbrook to like remember exactly like what his like run style was, but like in terms of role in the passing game and just being super reliable, all that stuff, I can absolutely see that.
Yeah, both 5'10", 200, which those numbers felt boosted for Brian Westbrook, who always looked a little bit smaller. And like, again, TreVeyon's not as light on his feet as a guy who would be in the hall of very good if we had one for pro football only. But he's like, we talk about ceiling. Mina said this on the show you did last Monday, was like, she sees top 5 potential for him of all running backs in the league. And that's where Brian Westbrook was for a long time.
Yeah. Absolutely. I love TreVeyon. I actually ranked him just 1 spot ahead of Omarion Hampton, which I think pissed some people off, just because, I don't know, I think passing game value is really important in the NFL. And like I said kind of earlier, just TreVeyon Henderson's ability to come in from day one and be the guy that you can trust is not going to get the quarterback killed. That alone is just so valuable from a coaching point of view, where you can put this guy on the field and you just know he's going to like do his job, pick up the blitzer, protect. And a lot of times he knocks dudes on their ass when they're blitzing in whatever gap. And so just the ability to protect the quarterback, again, it's helping Drake May. Nothing is more important than helping Drake May self-actualize, be the best that he can be. If you're the coach or from every level of the organization, that is like priority number 1, because you can't, I mean, the Patriots of every team know, like, you're only going to go as far as your quarterback can take you. And I think Drake May has elite potential, but he needs to get there. He needs help getting there. So I think that's kind of like put me over the edge in terms of just his ability to come in from day one and be really trustworthy in protecting the quarterback and doing his part in the passing game. It's really valuable. And obviously I have a kind of, bias towards super explosive guys in space. And so I just like that too.
Yeah, we were on the Basel Tootin train. We didn't know. We were in separate cars, and I didn't know you were on there.
Until you're a Tootin guy, huh? You're rooting for Tootin?
Yeah. Fumbles don't matter. Fumbles.
Just practice that a little bit there. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's disappoint everybody. Here comes the floor. And this isn't even a terrible floor. But again, this says he will be no worse than this player. I went Felix Jones. And another guy who's about 5'10", 200. He
And
was
you're
more of
going
a
with the way
slasher.
back tracks here.
I know. Look, when I bring the comps to the comp god,
I like it.
reaching to all dimensions and places, real or fictitious. I gotta bring
it's
it.
great. Anytime you make me go, oh, that's interesting. That's exactly what I think the point of doing comps is. It's like, oh, that's an interesting one. Yeah. Then it makes you go back and watch some highlights and things like that. I like that.
Yeah. So Felix Jones, I thought he was in the league longer than this. Only 6 seasons. He was best in a running back by committee, which you saw in Dallas and you will see in New England with Stevenson and Antonio Gibson. He never started more than 8 games. So this speaks to TreVeyon gets banged up, which happened at Ohio State. A little too much wear in the tires. Never had more than 800 yards. But his best seasons had over 5 yards a carry. So there's that explosive element. He also had several catches and was just a solid pass catching back, mostly in Dallas, finished up in Pittsburgh. But that's the floor here. Like, Felix Jones' potential, once everyone was like, oh, here comes the next, big running back in the league, great offensive line in Dallas, him and Darren McFadden, yada, yada. And it didn't materialize like that. But that's true for every player. There's some risk that you just get banged up or disappoint. And right now, disappointment for TreVeyon Henderson is Felix Jones.
Right. And that's like you said, 6 years is actually, I think, a pretty solid career for a running back, to be honest. In this league, it's just such a grueling position. You have so many injuries. When you can get a second contract as running back, period, like that's a win, I think. And so I'm watching some highlights now. Felix Jones, I can absolutely see this. This is a great call. Kind of smooth runner, like explosive. Get him to the edge, let him do one cut and go. That makes a ton of sense. I had forgotten about Felix Jones a little bit. Was Julius Jones his brother? Were they related?
No. That was Julius and Thomas.
Right.
Like the most rocked up dude, Bears and then Jets. And I'm like, I know he's not the best running back in the league, but Thomas Jones had some of the best aesthetics ever.
Yeah.
A modern back. What's your floor though for him?
I think that that comp is really smart in terms of just like a solid starter that's maybe not ever going to be like a star, never going to be, maybe he won't live up to like sort of the billing, because I think TreVeyon Henderson, especially when he came into college, he was like a big deal and, went out winning a national title and all that stuff. Maybe he won't live up to that billing, but I think solid starter who can be relied upon in the passing game on third downs, like that's kind of his floor. Maybe never going to be a big time volume guy. I'm trying to think of a good comp for that. But yeah, like I think like the worst case is you get like a solid rotational running back.
Yeah, and especially with that explosive element, because that's the tough part. Guys who have the whole skill set like he does don't typically disappoint,
right?
Or they have a short career because they do get a little bit stunted. Like I don't know, there were like this is again another way back comparison. Remember Javid Best?
Yes.
Yeah. So that was, and he was more of a one cut than TreVeyon is, but had a really short career due to injury. And you're like, that would have worked out, or maybe I just wanted it to work out because I thought he had an A+ name.
His was concussions, right? He just couldn't stay healthy in the league. This is like a really, let's see, that's too low. That's too low. I was thinking like Justice Hill, been in the league for like 5 or 6 years. That's kind of like obviously super disappointing if you hear that.
He's got more juice. Yeah.
But I mean, like my upside comp for him was Austin Eckler, where a guy who's just,
I like that a lot.
Using space or explosive. I think he also can be like a lead back guy, like a de facto lead back. Austin Eckler was, he's never a big guy, but he was a de facto lead runner for them for years. But yeah, I think like a Justice Hill type guy where you trust him to come in on third downs, maybe never a star, but a guy that you can depend on is kind of like the low end comp, I think, for him.